Now, when you see this layout over here, you're probably going to go, oh yeah, I can see what you've done. You've gone and put in 5 images, or maybe you've got 5 containers, and each one of these containers has the same image as a fixed, cover background. Well, in actual fact, it is just one image, and we are not doing it the way you think. Hang around to see what I did. So I have a blank page and I have 2 containers. Both of them are a VH of 100. The reason I've got 2 containers is so that I can very quickly, easily show you, look, here's container 1, here's container 2, and I've got a bit more space to kind of move my mouse up and down. Now into container 1 is where we're going to do all of our magic. This is just a very basic container, VH100. I'm not really bothered about if it's boxed or full width or whatever at the moment. If I go over to the style, it just has a background image like that, okay? What we will do to this image, though, is make it be a fix, so we get a bit of the scroll effect as we're going up and down. The way we're going to get this, almost like a different effect, whereby we no longer have to use lots of different images and lots of, we're not repeating, the background image over and over again to get that parallax effect, and we're just going to use it once. We're going to add in columns, and we're going to give the columns a border. And when you see this, you're going to kind of go a little bit like, did not think of that. The first thing we're going to do to the parent container is make sure, in fact, I said I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to make sure it's full width. And I'm going to go over here and make sure the margin and padding is completely zeroed out. I'm also going to go down here to where we have gap between element, and I'm going to ensure that that is a 0. Normally it defaults to 20 like that. I'm going to go in and put a 0 down here, okay? Because when I put in my columns, I don't want a gap between them. In fact, what I'll do is let me leave it as 20, just so you see what happens. What we're going to do is we're going to drop in 1 column, and you can see that column has now appeared over there. What we will now do is go over to this column, and I'm going to give it border. Pretty simple, okay? That's what I'm going to do, give it a border. We click on style, we go to border, I'm going to say go for solid. I'm going to say, let's make it, I could go for black. I could go for any color I want. I'm just going to go for white to keep it really, really simple over what we're doing here. And I'm going to type in 30 all the way around. And can you see what it's done instantly there? It's gone and created a border, literally like that. That's how simple and easy it is. What I'm now going to do is duplicate that 2 more times. Like that. What we have to now do is actually turn him into a row to fully do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to start hitting things like this with space evenly and kind of cramming things up. I'm just going to hit the row horizontal. We still have the gap going down between them. This is where we now hit the 0 and that gap is now gone. Now, this is where you may want to have a bit of a think about your layout, because we have about 30 and 30 over here, but we have quite a wide gap in the middle here. But have a think about it. Do you want it to look like that, or do you want it to be more equal? Because on a full screen like that, it doesn't look too bad, if I'm honest, but you might want to make it more equal. So you might want to go into your border and go, okay, on our style over here on the right hand side, it's only going to be 15, for instance, like that. Sorry, I've gone and changed it everywhere. You would want to do that and go, right, we're going to change that size there. And then do it on the other side as well. So be a bit methodical about your thinking. But I'm just going to leave them as 30 for now. Now, this is all good and well. And look, when I scroll up and down now, look at that. We get this nice parallax effect kicking off. And if you were to now drop in some text, it's going to look really imaginative. But what if you want to go a step further? So here we have our child container. I'm going to click into this container and ensure that it is a full width like that. And I'm also just going to 0 out the margin and padding. Why? Because now I'm going to drop in another container into here like that. And I'm now basically going to do the same thing. Well, I don't have to do the same thing, because we've already got the top, the left and right already catered for. But what I might want to now do is do some white at the bottom over here. So on this particular container, I'm just going to set this to be a full width. Get rid of the 0 again. You can add your padding back in if you really want. We're going to go to the style, go to border, make it solid, make it white again, or whatever color you want. And this time on the bottom, I'm going to go and pop in a 30 like that. I mean, this is where the sizing of how big you've got these now might make a difference as to how it's going to look. But, you can play around with that, or I might even go for something like that, 60. Because that now fits a little bit more in with how wide these look at the moment. So let's just do that. And then I'm going to make a duplicate of that. But this time on the second one, I don't really need the border because we've already can I rephrase it? I'm going to put 30 at the top and 0 at the bottom. And on the first container, I should have done it this way, I'm going to change it to be 30 at the bottom. Otherwise, what will happen is I'm going to have unequal columns. Now, again, look over here. We have a bit of a gap between them. So make sure you clicked on the child container and now hit 0. And there we go. The gap is gone. But I now want this to be just 2 of them. Now, you might think that if I click on the child container and start doing stuff like this is going to work it through. It doesn't really do that because it starts to create these 3 gaps. You got container 1, then you got container 2, and you got a gap. And this is the layout you might want to go for, but what you really want to be doing is controlling it. I've made both of those now be 43 because it just fits a little bit better. If we now view that, as you can see on the screen right now, we've got this pretty nice parallax effect. And you can be quite creative. So if I just open up my navigator, I'm going to get rid of this third child container that's on the far right. Completely get rid of it. Make a duplicate of the first child container like that. And I'm now going to move it to be on the other side like that. So they're now kind of equal. And then on this particular container over here, I might decide, you know what? We're just going to have a plain white background like this. I could do something like that. I could even do the same over here on the other flip side, but this time do it at the top like this as well. So text, a bit of button, things like that, and you now have a pretty bespoke looking design, whereas normally you might have popped in an image, or you may have had the you would have gone to this container, put in a background image and then said fixed, and then you would have done the same here and then the same here, and you're just duplicating effort. Whereas here now you just have a background image and you're using the borders. You can have a really great play around with this, and I really think you should have a go with it. I'm Imran Web Squadron. Like, subscribe, share and follow. I'll see you.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag.